Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our nostalgic or problematic series where we are rewatching season 2 of Dawson's Creek. And we are still committed to 2 episodes a week.
Yep, here
because we will never get through this series.
Never.
There's 7 seasons. Like, we gotta keep on. And Katie has more time now. And I'm about to have more time too, because I'm about to be done with my show. So yeah. All right. So season 2, episode 15 is called That Is the Question. And here is the summary. As rumors about Jack's sexuality continue unabated, Pacey sets out to stop a teacher's relentless harassment.
Yep. That's exactly it. So the episode before this was to be or not to be.
Yeah. That is the question.
That is the question. Yeah. Is this one, which is
I didn't realize
kind of witty from a writing standpoint.
I didn't realize that till just now.
Mm-hmm. And the way they have it written is ...
Right.
That is the question. So, okay. So we've got the opening where Pacey is in Dawson's room watching Jerry Maguire. And it's like the scene where Jerry's quitting and Renee Zellweger goes with him. And Jerry Maguire's like, I'm taking the fish.
Yes.
Like, I totally forgot about that part.
We need to rewatch that movie too. Let me add that to our list.
I love that movie. I did, so I don't know if I would love it again.
I know. I'm wondering how we would feel nowadays because I have a feeling some of it
maybe not. So he's watching that because he's suspended from school,
right?
And so I guess he's just kind of like hiding out at Dawson's for a few days. And so Dawson is kind of expressing how he's kind of getting annoyed with Pacey in his space, and he's telling him, Pacey, like you should go talk to Andy. You know, you haven't talked to her for a while. And I wrote this down because I love this because Pacey's like, we're at an impasse. And then Dawson's like, no, you mean avoidance.
Yeah.
Like, you're not, like, you're avoiding her. And since he's not at school, he doesn't have to see her. So Dawson's essentially trying to encourage him to reach out and talk to her, which he doesn't do till he goes back to school.
Right.
And then Pacey's like, it's not fair. Joey gets the bed when she stays because Dawson's like kicking him out to go sleep on the couch or something. Of course
she does. Hello.
Yeah. So I just thought that whole scene was kind of funny.
But I also like after that little intro, I hate this fucking theme song.
It's awful.
It's so bad. I hate it.
I don't like it either.
Where is Paula Cole, bitches?
I know. It's really bad. It really ruins the mood.
It does.
The
fucking teacher. Like, let's just... You have something before him?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. I hate this man. And we talked about this on the last one.
Yes.
I've had teachers like him, who never got fired. But, when he does his whole little spiel on where he's like, your grades will now be subjective, like, depending on my own, like, opinions and thoughts. That is illegal.
Right.
100%. Yeah. For those of you that don't know, I actually have a degree in education, which is shocking because it's elementary education. Shocking. I know. What universe? Anyway, something that you learn very soon on when you take classes on legality stuff, you have to have clear set guidelines, no matter what grade you're on, that have to line up with your state content standards. Mm-hmm. You don't get to just go in there and willy-nilly and do whatever you want like this man is. Like, and they check up on you. They're supposed to be.
Right. I think they're bigger on that now than even back then.
Right. Correct. But, like nowadays, he would, first of all, never last being like this. Not that there aren't asshole teachers. There's plenty of them out there. Mm-hmm. But I was like, that's fucking illegal. You can't just say if I like it or not is your grade.
Right. And then he put an F on Pacey's poem, but no notes. And so Pacey says, like, well, what feedback can you give me to improve? And he's like, oh, I just didn't like it. Or no, he goes, be a better writer.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
How is that teaching?
Which as a writer, I was like, oh.
And how is that teaching?
Right. It's not. And he's just being an asshole.
God, I hate this guy. And you're supposed to hate him. I mean,
right. You're supposed to. He's using his power in the wrong way for sure. Mm-hmm. So my thoughts on this change as the episode goes on, but at the beginning when Jen and Ty are kissing and they kind of got like a little bit of PDA, I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. And also, even though it was just on the last episode, I was like, I forgot about them.
Yeah.
And here they are
kissing.
And
I was wrong. I said his name was Tyler. It is not. It is Tyson. You were right.
I was right.
You were right.
So do you know how I know?
Because Graham says it. Doesn't she?
Also, there was a young man who lived in the apartment under me in college whose name was Tyson that I had a huge crush on.
So you remember the name.
So when I hear the name, I'm like, yep.
You remember.
Anyway, that's it.
You remember the
What's
Tysons.
up, Tyson? Okay.
Sure, he's listening right now.
I'm sure he's listening right this minute, wondering what I'm doing. Just like he cared so much.
Wouldn't that be so interesting? Like, you know how like you can remember crushes from whenever in your life? You're like, oh, and you still think of them with fondness. I wonder, do you ever wonder if people out there like had a crush on you don't know about that still think about you?
I never thought about it till like now.
Me either. Nobody had crushes on me.
I mean,
no.
I feel like I knew about the people that had crushes on me. I think even people that I maybe didn't feel the same way about told me at one point or another.
I only had one because, guys, we know Katie was much cooler and cuter than me growing up. So I only had one time. I remember this happening to me when I was in high school. I had a friend named BJ, and he was so much fun. I think he was a year younger. He was a grade younger than me, but he was the same age as me because I was young. And I remember he asked me to go to a dance and then told me we were at the dance. He had a crush on me. And I was like, oh, yeah. Like but he was fine. I mean, he was so sweet. And he was like, okay. He was like, I just had to tell you.
He shot his shot.
And I was like, well, I appreciate it. And I love you. I think you're so much fun. But there was just not, I don't know why. He was so nice and funny and cute, but I don't know.
No, I can think of a handful of times.
Oh, of course you can. Of course you can. A handful of times.
I can also think of times that like I was on the reverse side.
Oh, that was me all the time. All the time.
About the guy in college that I would go visit all the time in his office, and he was a grad student, and he was like so cute and kind. And then I eventually asked him to a sorority dance. And he was like, oh, I have a girlfriend. Like he was like basically engaged.
It's weird though, because we have like a whole narrative in our own brains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And looking back, I just remember trying to get the courage to constantly like take it the next step, which was just to like see if he wanted to hang out outside of like whatever, the student government building or whatever. And looking back, I'm like, well, like he didn't bring it up either, and there's a reason for that. But in my head, I'm like, oh, you don't have your courage. Like all you gotta do is say something,
right? Or wait, but maybe he did, but he was in a relationship and he was just not trying to mess with that. Maybe he did have a crush on you.
I mean,
do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think like I didn't imagine that part. You know what I mean? Like I don't like sometimes maybe we put feelings on people that aren't there.
Oh yeah, we do.
But this was not that. To the point that I was surprised.
That's what I mean. Like he probably
like, why are you spending so much time with me and like acting the way that you act?
Right. He probably still did have a crush on you. He just was in a committed relationship and decided that he didn't.
Yeah. So all that to say,
anyway,
it does happen.
So anyway, people out there, if you've had crushes on Katie or I,
tell us now. Tyson, if it's you.
Katie's going to get like 15 messages and I'm just going to be crickets. Nothing. Or I'll get a message being like, remember when you had that crush on me? How embarrassing for you.
Mine will be like, yeah, I did have a crush on you or currently do. And Danny's will be like, you have a crush on me, right? Like
absolutely fucking nothing. Oh my God.
That's
hilarious.
That would not be how that goes.
Katie has a crush on me, everybody. Okay.
Wait, I thought you had a crush on me.
Oh,
we can't get it straight. Okay.
All right.
So
here we go.
Another line I really liked is still kind of opening when they're all in the hallway is Joey's looking in her locker for something. And Jack says, geez, how deep does this thing go? The locker.
Why do you notice the funniest dialogue?
Because I felt that. I was like, yeah, that would be me going through anything.
Oh.
Like someone would be waiting. And you know when someone's watching you and you're like looking through your purse or you're like looking through a box. That is...
One time we went to Podfest and we were trying to check into the hotel. Katie couldn't find her ID. And you guys, it was like her purse was so small and she just starts taking all this shit out. It's on the floor. She gets out this bag. There's like wrappers and bullshit. I was like, what is even in here? Like
it was like a Mr. Bean moment.
Yes, it was.
Like in Love Actually when he's like, it's like a clown car purse.
Yes.
Like I'm pulling stuff out of it. It's like, where is this even coming from? And my ID wasn't there.
She's like, oh, here it is with like a straw wrapper and like some gum.
Yeah, like gum stuck on. Like that.
Yeah.
And you panic when someone's like waiting for you.
Like sweating. Because like I'm standing there laughing and then I'm so understanding. And then the nice little concierge lady was just like hands folded on the counter, like staring at her.
I'm like, I'll wait.
And Katie's like sweating.
And there's a line of people behind us.
And I'm sure we had on something stupid, right?
I think we were dressed then in one of our, were we in our windsuits yet?
No, we just had on our sweatshirts, so we weren't stupid.
Oh yeah. Okay. We were chill. We were chill.
Anyway.
But my purse was
yes,
not.
I get it.
So
what you're saying.
So now, that line kind of like stood out to me. But then we have our first kind of homophobic, cringy thing that happens in that same scene. When Jack or someone, I think it's Jack, but it might have been Joey, says, let's have an into the closet party.
Yeah.
Like celebrate that you're not gay. I just wrote yikes.
Yeah.
Next to that.
There's so much yikes.
There's a lot in this one.
So much yikes.
And then Dawson giving Joey relationship advice, like kind of early on.
Like, okay, Dawson.
Yeah. Like you're kind of got a bias here, first of all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought
he doesn't really have much wisdom.
Mm-mm.
Come on.
No,
all right.
He doesn't.
So let's talk about, the next thing I had was the speakeasy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I found out some interesting stuff there.
So that was really funny. And I was like, okay, I'm so sure underage kids. But then I was like, wait, I snuck into bars. Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was a different time. You could never sneak into bars nowadays.
No, never.
You never could. But you youngins out there need to understand, back in the 90s was the last era that you could sneak into bars.
Well, so like as an aside to that, they're going there because we haven't even said it's Dawson's birthday.
No, that's the next episode.
That's the next one. Oh, sorry.
Are you on the wrong notes?
No, I don't say birthday, but I'm just talking about the nightclub.
Because they go back.
That's what it is.
Yeah, they go back. Yeah.
Okay, so in the nightclub, I recognized the singer from like another time they were in there. So I looked her up.
Uh-huh.
Sarah Seidman Vance, and she's the singer in the club. She's on a couple episodes. She's actually an Emmy-winning makeup artist.
Fun.
And she specifically did Katie Holmes' makeup for the first 3 seasons.
Okay.
And they're like, you're a jazz singer? Sing in these episodes. So that's who that is.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a fun little trivia.
Like, took a little pause and was like, who is that? Who's that singer?
I like Katie without a full-time job.
I'm like, let's go down some rabbit holes. Makeup artist, Emmy-winning, who cares?
Well, without a full-time 9-to-5 job is what I'm saying.
Correct.
You still have a full-time job with her performing arts studio, but it's different hours.
I'm noticing the details more than ever.
I love that.
So even before, so I did say CD bar, Ty, Jen. So the people that go to the CD bar are Ty and Jen, Joey and Dawson.
Yeah.
And then Ty starts playing jazz piano.
Of course he does.
Of course, you never see his fingers. I watched for that too. It's like, I'm sitting here and you're just supposed to believe that I'm playing.
Yeah.
And I am. Just forget it. And then we've got the 3 of them, not including Ty, because he's playing jazz piano, kind of bemoaning their fates.
Yeah.
And Dawson and Jen's are kind of funny, but then Joey's is like, well, at least your boyfriend's not gay or whatever she says. And it's like, and they all giggle. And they're like, oh, yeah, you win or whatever. And I was like, oh, boy.
Well,
oh, boy.
The word of the show is proverbial. They have said this word so many times.
I didn't even notice that.
I wrote it down because they've said it so many times in recent episodes.
Wow.
Yeah, proverbial.
Yeah, proverbial.
The writers were on a kick, I guess.
I guess they were. They were like, ooh, new vocab word. Use it 10 times in the season. Yeah.
Anyway, that was just a random aside from there.
Yeah. So additionally, I thought this was really interesting without going too into the weeds. The principal calling Andy and Jack's dad and basically saying, they're in crisis. You need to come check in. Jack thinks he's gay or Jack might be gay, whatever. I mean, we're dealing with an issue like that even current times. It's just a reminder where like a teacher didn't tell a parent something, that a name that a student wanted to use, and is basically not getting her job renewed because of it, because a parent felt like they should know. But this episode, and I know it's fiction, is a good example why you shouldn't.
Right.
Because you don't know what the home life is, whatever it is, as long as the kid is physically safe.
Right.
And not harming themselves or others, like it may be dangerous or detrimental to them for their parents to know they want to use a different name or they are gay or whatever. Like that's not really a teacher's place or a principal's place to do, which is what they do in this episode.
Well, and that fucking dad,
like
the fucking dad, like first of all, he don't even live there. And then he's like, oh, disrupt my life to come deal with this. It's like, hello, you're a fucking parent and your wife is inept. Mm-hmm. And for whatever, I mean, I'm not saying that as an insult. I'm just saying
no, she's sick.
She can't. Yeah. And you're just like, okay, bye. I'm going to go make the money. You guys figure it out.
Mm-hmm. And then be like annoyed that you had
to he's like so annoyed that you have to come fucking parent your kids.
Right.
Like whether you like it or not, once you become a parent, that's your job that you got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he just is like, me. Peace out, guys.
And then he asks Jack at dinner, basically like, are you gay, Jack? But then follows up with it like, because I think this family's been through enough and we don't need this. And it's like, well, of course he's going to say no.
Of course.
In that moment. What are you talking about?
And like his fucking self being like, we've been through enough. You're not even there.
What do you mean we? Yeah.
You're not doing shit. Yeah. I mean, I get it. He's like working to make money, but then don't move your family away. Like, I don't, I don't know. I hate this whole dad storyline. I think they could have done that different, but whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So then while we're talking about the gay stuff, let's talk about Tyler, Tyson, whatever the fuck his name is, and his bullshit opinion.
Yeah.
On being gay, which they had to throw in there.
They had to, because he's kind of the voice of people that
of the
feel
opposition.
That way.
Yes.
Right. So he's basically just saying like, he doesn't think it's, well, he's saying he doesn't think it's good or bad. It's just, it is a choice.
He's saying it's a choice, and he's saying it's the wrong choice.
Right. And that if you want to deal with your consequences of your choice, that's up to you.
Well, and like that should have been a deal breaker for Jen immediately.
Well, that's the part I hate.
But she's 16.
I know.
And I mean, I know back in the day, I dated people. We didn't line up on all the big things. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
I do. Yeah.
So it should have been a deal breaker. She's 16. She's trying to figure.
I get it.
Like,
yeah,
and he's agree. 16 too.
And surprisingly, Graham's comes to Jen's side and is kind of standing up for Jack. Although did you notice the buzzword she used?
No, what was it?
Tolerance.
Yeah, here's
as if it's a good thing.
Let's talk about this Graham situation for a minute. For all of y'all that have not listened to the podcast in the past, you know, I used to be part of the evangelical church, pretty conservative, and I left. And the hugely problematic stance that Graham is taking doesn't seem problematic to her.
Right.
But it is problematic because it's the whole love the sinner, hate the sin.
Mm-hmm.
The key word there is you still think it's wrong.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So you are
tolerance
not.
Is like,
yeah.
I don't agree with you, but I guess
I'm putting up with you.
Yeah.
So that's not acceptance, everyone.
No.
That's not support. And she's like, he needs love and support. Well, you're not giving it to him because you're still not accepting him for who he is. And you're still saying who he is wrong.
Right.
So, and I will say, because I've had conversations with people in real life multiple times about this very thing, that is a very hard thing to get people to grasp, is why that is not supportive and loving.
Right.
And I have watched people in the LGBTQ plus community speak on why they feel the way they feel when people say that, and they still don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
They just are like, but I love you and accept you. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're telling me I'm wrong.
Right. But that, like, I guess it's like you can see past it or whatever.
Exactly.
It's kind of like that
and
vibe.
It's still,
instead of just like, I see you and you are you, and that's great.
And, you know, and I think the big, I don't know. So that's, and then when she said, like, let God be the judge.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's also saying, because I know what God will think, my version of God.
Right.
Right.
You're right. It is not your, I mean, if you are a Christian person, it is not your job to judge, but you kind of are.
Yeah. If you say that. Yeah. I totally agree.
You kind of are. So anyway.
Yep. I agree.
So we're done talking about her, I guess.
For now. So then I put here that when Dawson's walking Joey home after the speakeasy, she's like, oh, you didn't have to walk me home.
Oh, yeah.
And at first I was kind of annoyed because I'm like, ugh. He's just trying to swoop in. But then, like, that's kind of what Jack did.
Right.
So then I was like, it's fine.
He's teenage boys.
Also, like, I don't want Joey walking home by herself.
Right.
Walk that girl home.
Yeah.
So then there's the whole scene.
I know it's coming.
You know what I'm going to say?
Yeah.
So where this part's not funny, where she's feeling like maybe there's something wrong with her. And she's asking Dawson, am I sexual?
Which I get that, though.
Isn't it a Backstreet Boys song?
Am I sexual? Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, but I get it. I get why she feels that way.
Yeah.
And I can understand that too, because, I think how we see ourselves can be very different sometimes on how other people see us, because we have all our issues and our things.
True.
And I feel for her, because I know I have never been like, oh, I look so sexy. Like, or if I have ever gotten a compliment like that, I am like, what are you talking about? Like, I am such a nerd. Like if people say, oh, you're so cute, sometimes I'm like, okay, like cute, maybe sometimes I can take. But if somebody ever is like, oh, you're I can't think of any time anybody ever said.
Like, do people say this to you often? Is this a thing?
No, but I'm just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like that would be, you would have trouble believing that.
I would. Yeah. And like, if I was in her situation at her age, for sure, and that happened, I would be like, okay.
Right. And she's not just talking about the stuff with Jack, which she does mention.
Right.
She's also saying like, well, look at you, Dawson. You wanted Jen.
Exactly.
And she's like, in her eyes, like more glamorous or sexy than me.
Yes.
So she was kind of giving a lot of examples that made her think. But then Dawson says,
I know,
Joey, you are
extremely sexual.
I was like, oh my God, Dawson.
What are you even saying?
I wouldn't say she's extremely sexual. That seems like you're going a bit far.
We said everybody has their things, Katie.
And then
he's also 16. Right. Everything is sexual extremely when you're 16.
True. Do you know what he said after that?
I don't know. I was laughing too hard.
He said, and this made me cringe, you're blossoming.
Ew.
I was like, what? So back to 16. I'm like, no 16-year-old boy is going to say that.
Blossoming.
That's like something your grandma would tell you.
Exactly.
Your 16-year-old boy that lives next door that,
or not boyfriend or whoever he
is.
So
anyway, so that whole scene, I felt for her though. And like you said, it's our own self, whatever it is.
Right.
Our own self-consciousness that we do sometimes project on to like other people. Like, oh, they're treating me this way because I'm like this.
Yeah.
When really they're maybe not treating you any particular way, or you're taking it a certain way, whatever it is, whether it's romantic relationship, work, colleagues, friendships, whatever it may be. So that was an interesting scene.
Yeah, I thought so too. Weird. Okay, so then Jack and his whole scene with his dad made me sad for a bunch of reasons. Number one, that coming out even has to be a thing.
Right.
Like, why can't we just be?
And Jack even says to his dad in that scene, you've known, right? Like, you treated me different than Tim. And but
that even was problematic to me too.
You think?
Yeah, because that's also saying that if you are gay, that you're automatically going to act different. Like, you don't.
But I think he was just saying like, I think this is something you haven't wanted to face, and therefore you treated me differently.
Yeah,
not that's right.
I see what you're saying.
But I think he's just saying to him, like, this shouldn't surprise you. I know you know.
Right.
You're my parent.
You've
known me my whole life.
Yeah. And it's just sad. It's just it was sad for a lot of reasons.
I totally agree.
Because dad is an asshole. He was upset. But then it makes me sad that he's so upset. He's like, because now I have to deal with this. And I'm like, your sexuality should never be something that you have to deal with.
Right.
Right? It should just be. But it's society that fucks it up for all of us.
Right. So you do have to deal with it.
So you do have to deal with it. And that's the sad part.
Yeah, for sure.
Is because I think and we'll talk about this on the next episode, I think if we just got rid of all the labels and stuff and like.
Well, yeah. Next episode.
You know where I'm going to go with that.
I know where you're going.
Then I think it would be a whole different world.
Right. We don't have to put anything in a box or a label.
Because what's the point?
Yeah.
That's what I think. What is the point?
It's to exclude people. It's to feel like you are a part of a group and other people aren't.
Yes.
When could all just be the same group. It's fine.
And anytime you put a label on something, you put limits.
Definitely. Yeah. Which is why this whole,
which is why it's sad.
And also like we've talked about, the language around this at the time, maybe even to some people might have seemed progressive.
Yeah.
But we know that it's not now, because we're even saying like having to declare I am gay and then that's like what you are forever is problematic.
Yeah.
Like,
and I mean, when
you shouldn't have to do that.
When this came out, when Jack, he was the first gay character on a teen show.
Yeah.
He was. And then he has a gay kiss later, and he was the first gay kiss teen character on the show.
Yeah.
Which, you guys, and I think that even, I mean, not to spoil it, but hello, it's been a long time. Yeah. I think that happens not even next season, or maybe it was next season.
Like later.
But that was like 2000. Like, that's not that long ago.
No, which P.S., I looked up a picture of Jack from recently or whatever. He is very good looking.
Right?
Total silver.
Right?
So good looking.
Everybody from this show.
Everybody. It's something about the show, man. Something about the show.
Everybody from the show. Cape Side, Mass.
Okay, so then we've got the scene where the teacher... Okay, so we haven't even talked about this yet, where Pacey stays up all night.
Yeah.
And researches kind of what you were talking about, the laws for being a teacher. And gets all these testimonials from other students who basically are saying things that the teacher has done wrong, and he hands it to the principal and he gives it to the school board, and it results in the teacher being fired.
Well, he quit because he didn't want to go through because he knew he was fucking guilty.
Yeah. Right. He didn't want to stand before the
He's like, I'm not going to, demean myself
and listen to all the things I've done wrong or whatever. But he's packing up. And so the teacher kind of throws something at him about like, well, you got me fired. Where's the compassion in that? But it's like, no, too late, sir.
But Pacey says respect is earned through compassion.
Yeah. 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 So he ends up getting fired. So go Pacey for like having a cause and seeing it through. Okay, so then we've kind of touched on this already. Ty and Jen have that follow-up conversation with him basically being like, so what? We don't agree on stuff. Mm-hmm. We can't date, blah, 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 blah. And that's what we were saying, where it's like, well, it depends what you disagree on. If it's like your favorite sports team, okay. Mm-hmm. But if it's like
big
identity and respect for people and all of that. But like you said, they're young. I think.
Well, and you don't know that sometimes when you're young. I mean, even when you're a grown-up, sometimes you don't realize that if you're out there dating and stuff.
And I think that Jen is also very open-minded. So I think him saying to her, like, well, why are you so this way? Or why are you so liberal? Or why are you so whatever? Did make her kind of go, oh, maybe I should, like, look at myself too.
Well, yeah.
And that's just who she is as a character. So I thought that was interesting, although I didn't think that they should make up and be together.
Nah.
And then I thought this was so cute when Andy and Pacey make up, and then Pacey says to her, how come your apology is so much better than mine?
I know.
Because his was pretty good, but hers was like eloquent and emotional. And I just thought that was really funny. And then I said, iron sharpens iron.
Oh.
I mean, like, just Pacey and Andy together are just so good. And you can see Pacey's got confidence, like, to even confront that teacher. He's doing better in school. He's even like approaching Andy and being responsible about like how they get through their argument. You know, you can see it, and it's helping Andy too.
Yeah,
which we see even more in the next episode,
right?
When she's, whatever,
which we're going to get into.
But
in just a minute.
It was just a reminder of that. Oh, okay. Funny moment when I was watching this. Not a funny moment in the show,
okay,
but in real life. So Joey does this fancy dinner down on her dock for Jack.
Yeah.
And he comes down and he says, you shouldn't have done this. And I out loud said, uh-oh. And then Joey says, oh, is this the part where I say uh-oh? And I had already said it. I go, uh-oh. And then there's like a pause as they
and you're like,
she goes, is this where I'm supposed to say uh-oh? And I was like,
they're listening.
Like, I knew. I was like, uh-oh, it's coming. So basically, he tells Joey that he's gay and that obviously it's not going to work out with them. And they kind of break up.
The ending and the binaries.
I know. And of course she's upset. Of course she cares about him. And, they just broke up. So then she crawls through Dawson's window crying and doesn't really explain, but he just kind of like holds her and that ends it. But even before that, a moment that kind of warmed my heart is after that moment on the dock and Jack goes home. We see Andy sitting at their nice table on their nice china eating dinner alone.
Yeah.
And he walks in and like she pauses, gets up, gives him a hug. And it just was a reminder, like, their dad's shit, their mom's not well, their brother died. And yet, like, they have this bond with each other. And I'm not saying that makes everything else okay, but you're like, at least there's that.
Well, and also too, Andy said like when his sexuality was a question mark. And her and Pacey had that conversation last episode, and she was like, no, I would not be okay with it. But then when shit actually hit the fan, she was like, wait a second.
Yeah, she defended him or stood by him.
So I think that's a good point in saying you can change your mind. Yeah, you can change your mind. Nothing is ever set in stone.
That's right. Well, and it's just like anything in life. You're hypothetical.
Yeah, until it happens.
Isn't what's going to, like, before you have kids, you say, I'm going to do blah, 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 blah. And then you have kids and you're like, oh, just kidding.
Literally.
Or you learn new things that you do that you would have never thought. And just in general, in relationships, in life, with experience. And so that, I thought that they wrote that well.
Yeah.
Like Andy sort of coming to terms with who she is. Yeah. Okay, so the episode ends with Joey and Jack breaking up.
Man, we talked about that one for 30 minutes.
Dang. Okay. Well, let's go on. Episode 16.
16. Okay, this one's called Be Careful What You Wish For. Now, I didn't have a whole lot of notes on this one.
I don't have as many.
The summary is Dawson's surprise 16th birthday party goes awry when he and Andy show up drunk.
Yep. Okay. So, yes. So, first of all, this opening scene, Dawson's freaking out right before his birthday.
Yeah.
Relatable. It doesn't matter, like, if it's my kid. Like, my husband said to me yesterday, he said, you know, your oldest is turning 17 this week. And I was like, boy, you should know not to say that to me. Because then I just I'm like, oh my God.
What is your spiral? I love birthdays.
I get very sad when my kids have birthdays.
My friend Amber's like that, and I'm not like that. No, it's not weird because I know several parents like that.
And then really my own birthday, I don't mind that much. Okay. It's not so much getting older for me. It's like kind of what he talks about. I'm like, oh my God, what have I done this year? Another year's gone by. Have I done enough things? And now I got to do more stuff. And it's not just my birthday. It's like New Year's. And then my kids' birthdays is like, have I done enough specific to parenting?
Oh,
like... And the answer's always no.
Of course. But, we're never going to say yes to that.
But like him saying that to me, I was just like, oh my God.
I was emotional when Caden turned 18 because that was a whole thing. Yeah. But it's weird. You know, my best friend Amber and I would talk about this when our oldest were little and we had one kid. You know, we had one kid each and we were young moms. And she would get so sad every time there's the next phase. Mm-hmm. And I never did. I was always excited for the next thing. Like, you know, when they start walking, they start talking, and they're, you know, doing more. Mm-hmm. She would like long for what was back. Mm-hmm. And I would just get more excited for what was like the new threshold. And I feel like I still kind of do that with parenting. Yeah. Like, I don't really get super sad. I'm just like, I mean, it is kind of shocking and it's always kind of morbid because then it's like, oh, they're getting older. That means I'm older.
Yep.
But I get why you're emotional. I get why you get emotional, and I get why she does.
Like, and in my case, it's not even like I want time back. It really is. No. It is like did I make the most of when they were 7? Because now they're not going to be 7.
I always know my answer is no.
And the answer is no.
Because
and I think it just makes me feel bad.
It does, yeah.
And then it makes me sad because I'm like, well, I can't get that year back. Right. You know, even though like there's plenty, and I'm like you, like I've loved every phase my kids have been in more and more and more.
Well, I didn't love babyhood.
That's probably rose-colored glasses. And we have this in common. I really didn't like it when they were babies either, with the exception of my daughter who's turning 17 this week. And it was super hard because I was like a single mom. But like, I think like I associate so much closeness with that now. By the time all the others came along, it was just chaotic. And there's a baby in the middle of it. Like, you know, but like with her, it was like, yes, this is hard, but we're kind of doing it. And each day was like a surprise.
And you were together.
That we were like making it, you know? And so that to me, but would I want to do it again? No, I would not.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
I know. And see, when Caden was a baby, Troy was deployed twice. I mean, Troy was in Afghanistan for 6 months, 2 times before Caden turned 2.
Oh, yikes.
So it's weird because you're doing it by yourself, but you're not by yourself. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Like, and so I'm still having to worry about this partner of mine that is in a war zone that I don't know. Like, you can't let yourself think of that, but then you have to because you're not
where they are.
It's weird. I don't know.
That's weird.
So a lot of his babyhood, that's what I just associate with
a lot of angst and stuff.
And stress.
Yep.
And like, you know, and we didn't have family around. It was me and people, you know, but, and I mean, you were probably the same. Like you're just getting through the day. Every day was a win. Like, we did it. We made it. Like
did it again. Yeah.
We did it again. Yeah. But I don't know. Birthdays are weird, but you know, anyway.
Right, so I related to
how do we fucking
Dawson.
Oh yeah, Dawson's birthday.
Freaking out about that.
But Dawson just freaks out about everything.
He does. And we've got Pacey already kind of being sarcastic about the gay agenda in that opening, which it was not bad because I didn't mind him. He's like, oh yeah, because you know all the gay people are just coming along to ruin the world. That's their plan, you know. And it's just funny because I'm like, wow, yeah, that's what some people still think.
I know. Oh, but Dawson's dad is back.
I was about to say, how cute that he's there making breakfast for Dawson's birthday.
Come on, Dawson's dad.
Adorable.
Love him.
Adorable. But I also could understand why Gail was annoyed when she came into the kitchen and he was like standing there.
I know. Well, he doesn't live there anymore.
So. He doesn't live there. And he's like, it's like her son's birthday too. And here he is kind of just like doing
commandeering.
Whatever. Yeah. But then I said, Gail giving Mitch a hard time about money, but also buying Dawson a new car.
Right? That's some bullshit.
Which later they kind of remedy. But I was like, you can't do both. You can't be like, I need help with all the bills around here. Oh, I bought him. And how funny, like how specific. I bought him an Explorer. I got him an Explorer, which is, first of all, such a like 1998 car. Like I knew people in high school had Explorers and it was like the
big deal.
There weren't as many SUVs back then either.
Yeah, that
was
wasn't
like
a thing.
The first ones.
Yeah, it wasn't a thing.
So I thought that was funny.
I rode in the back of a Ford Explorer. It's Ford Explorer, yeah?
It's a Ford Explorer, yeah.
All the way from North Louisiana down to Destin, Florida in the back of a trunk. Remember I told you I rode like in the trunk of one? It was a Ford Explorer.
Oh my Lord.
No, it wasn't. It was a Bronco. Lies.
Well, Bronco. Okay. But still.
Yeah. My friend Brad had one. And listen, we were all poor college kids. And we were like, we can take one car to get gas. Mm-hmm. We can all fit in this one. Danny ride with the suitcase.
Just squeeze you right in.
And I was in a larger body at the time, so it wasn't as easy to fold me up and put me back there. I was still short.
Anything for the trip.
But hey, I was like, we're in.
Make it down there.
All right.
Okay, so then we've got Abby and her friends.
Oh yeah, Abby's back. Let's go.
But like her and her friends right away. Whoever these little friends are, these little minions of hers.
Like where'd they come from?
We've never seen before. There were 2 or 3 of them.
There was 2 of them. Yeah, where'd they come from?
Oh. And they're right away glamorizing.
Oh yeah, they're tokenizing him.
Tokenizing Jack. They're like, oh, and your hair, and oh, what's it like being you're
the first gay guy in Cape Side.
Yeah.
Not true, but the first one that
was publicly out or something. And he says to her a couple times throughout the episode, basically like, why are you talking to me?
I do not like you. And she's like, nobody likes me.
Yeah. She's like, I don't care. She's very aware. You said tokenizing, and I said they make him seem like an object.
Yeah, that's what they were doing.
Yeah,
and I think straight girls do that to gay guys a lot. Mm-hmm. Seriously,
yeah,
that's not okay.
I mean, I think we saw some of that in Sex and the City.
Oh yeah,
with their
Stanford
gay best friends and
the other guy, Anthony,
where it was very like and the characters kind of. The gay characters embrace it sort of like, yeah, I am your gay best friend.
Which, and that's fine.
That's fine. But there was a little bit of that with that too. Like, like feeling like jealous of who they were because they're so fabulous or whatever.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, and it's just, you need to appreciate a person for who they are, not want to be with them because like, you know what I'm saying?
That is right.
Right. So anytime you do that, anytime you're like, oh, I want to be their friend because they are XYZ, I want to have a gay friend or I want to have, I don't know, whatever friend. That's tokenizing and shitty.
Yeah.
You need to have a friend because you want to be their friend.
So you're just their friend, period.
And I love all my gay guy friends. They're lovely and wonderful.
Me too. They're wonderful to have.
But I mean, and
just because friends are wonderful to have.
Of course. Yeah. So, anyway, that was shitty.
Yeah, that was.
But it happens a lot, I think. It happens a lot.
It does. So we've got Andy then at her therapist who prescribes her
so stupid.
A night of imperfection. She gives her like permission to, and of course it just happens to be a night that there's going to be a surprise party for Dawson and they got to take Dawson out so he's not at his house because of the surprise party. So she prescribes her this, which is not the worst thing. A therapist could be like, hey, don't be perfect. But it was just kind of funny the way they did it. And then Bessie, Joey's sister, I loved her little moment of advice where she was basically telling her, just focus on you.
Yeah.
She's like, you got to have a relationship with Dawson, right into a relationship with Jack. Like, just find time for you. Mm-hmm. Like, don't rush into anything. Don't put like your worth on other people. And I just thought that was but she says it in such a like frank, direct way. Like she's caring. Of course she is, but it's not like overly like Full House moment. It's like, girl, like, just be you. You're young. Don't worry about those guys. Yes. Like, just be you. And I was like, yeah, I like that.
You know what's funny though? As I was watching that, I was like, yeah, people should not jump right from one relationship into another. But then I was like, but you know, sometimes like I was my own instance, I had a really toxic relationship before Troy and I started dating. Mm-hmm. It was super bad, really bad. We broke up and I was like, that's fucking it. I'm done. I'm moving away from here as soon as I'm done with this teaching job, which I fucking hate. I hate living here. I'm leaving. Because the whole reason I stayed where I stayed was for this guy. And of course, we break up and then I already knew Troy, but we like re-met, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I remember in my 22-year-old brain being like, nope, you can't have a relationship with this guy because you just got out of one. Nope. But then it was like right? You know what I mean?
And especially in a toxic situation, sometimes having a person there does help you.
It does. Well, and because you realize what you don't want.
Right.
Right.
And if you're just sitting there on your own, trying to make it on your own, you do have more of a tendency to go back.
I know.
I mean, extreme example, but the guy I dated before I got pregnant with Amelia, who was not her father, we'd been dating for years and we were just not a good couple. Yeah. But it was one of those things where it's like no one was really bad on either side. Yeah. It just wasn't. I swear, if I had not gotten pregnant with my daughter, I probably would have like still been with him and gotten married and gotten divorced one day or just been really, really unhappy. And I didn't know until I had a baby with somebody else and was like, oh shit, like that's not what I want. And we're still friends to this day. But I remember when my daughter was like baby, he asked me if I wanted to go to lunch because sometimes we would still hang out because we were still friends and whatever. Before they even brought us the menus to the table, he said he thought we should start dating again.
And you were like,
and by then I had literally had a whole ass baby, like without him, who was there.
You're
and
like,
I was like, what? Like, no. I'm not the same, you know?
I'm a totally different person now.
And I said it diplomatically, and then we, like, ate lunch.
Oh, how awkward.
This is really weird. Oh. And that was the end of that, thankfully. But that's a very extreme example. But, like, sometimes to not be in that relationship, even if you don't stay with the next person you're with or whatever, it helps you kind of get over that hump. Yeah. So her advice is good. Work on you.
But that's what I was like. These are the random things that pop into my head because I have attention problems. So as I was watching, I was like, oh yeah, like, and I think sometimes too, when you're in a toxic relationship or even not a toxic one, even like you said, where it's just not the right one, that you're like, when it ends, you're like, well, now there's this other person that comes along that is
it's a reminder
different and that's okay.
It's a reminder that like there are other people out there, you know, especially at this age when you're young.
Oh my gosh, the world is your oyster.
Absolutely. I mean, it's harder the older you get to meet people and find quality people to meet. But when you're in high school or whatever, there's your peers all around you.
I was listening to our friends talk about dating apps.
Okay. Oh, I'm scared.
I was like, wow, there are all these ways to meet people, but it's hard. Because I was like, what about filters?
Right.
Like, you know,
And
like, are you going to meet the right, like and they were like, no, sometimes they look different. And then you're like, well, that's not what I thought.
Yeah.
Or I'm not going to say their name.
I know who
our friend who put themselves on multiple apps and nobody answered, and like
nobody swiped or or liked,
and it's nobody. I think I don't know.
She shut that right down.
She did.
I'm wondering if there was some technical thing that wasn't right on.
You know, anyway.
But either way, it doesn't make you feel good.
How did we get on this tangent?
I don't know.
All right,
here we go. Okay, so
So Andy, Pacey, Dawson going out.
They're going out, but also I said Ty is still here? Question mark.
Who cares about fucking Ty?
Moving on. Okay.
I don't like him in all these episodes.
Me either.
Okay, so they go out. Andy's body glitter.
I wrote that down too.
That was me back in, oh my God, because I was in college when this season came out. I was with my girl. Let me tell the body glitter.
Yeah, so she had like this tight red dress, kind of more revealing than normal for Andy. And then all this body glitter across her chest, on her shoulders. It looked really cool, though.
I love me some body glitter. Are you surprised?
Awesome.
I love it.
No,
so
it
much.
made me. That's what we need for Gaga.
Body glitter. Hello.
At least
we're gonna have so much.
So yeah, I love that too. And I loved how she was sitting in the back of the cop. First of all,
I know
they're driving a police car to the speakeasy. Pacey's driving his dad or his brother's car.
He always steals his dad's car.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny.
It is.
And then Dawson's in front, and then Andy's in the back. And she's like, oh my God, is this what it feels like to get hauled off to jail? Turn on the sirens. And she's going completely crazy about it. And Pacey's just like, could you calm down, Andy? She's like, no, this is my one wild night. And
have you ridden in a cop
adorable. No. I know the seats are like plastic.
I've never been in the back of a cop car.
Okay.
But I did, not in a weird way. I won't go into the whole story, but I was walking home at like 2:30 in the morning down a street because the toxic relationship, we got into this horrible fight and I was leaving his place and walking back to mine.
Okay.
Which was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But I wanted out of there because it was a really bad place and I had to go. And a super young cop pulled over and was like, do you need a ride? And I was drunk, so I was fucking scared, but he wasn't worried about that at that moment.
Were you 21? No. Okay.
So, no.
Yeah, no.
So I get in the car and I'm crying and he was like, where do you live? He's like, are you okay? Where are you coming from? And then I realized, he's making sure I'm not like in some domestic violence situation or like, but anyway, this gets funnier. It's not going to stay dark. So he brings me home to my apartment and he's like, if something else happens, like you can call, like, here's my name, blah, blah, blah. I get out of the car. My roommates were standing outside smoking and they see me getting out of the cop car and they were like, what is are you okay? I was like, everything's fine. First of all, they're panicking because they see a cop car pulling into our apartment complex at 2:30 in the morning. And then here I come,
just like hopping out. Bye. Thanks for the ride. Oh my God, that's so great.
So I don't know about the back seat. I just know about the front seat.
I could be totally wrong about that, but I feel
you're probably right because they probably got like
it's like
bodily
easy to clean up. Yeah.
I'll ask Natalie.
Okay,
her husband's a cop.
Okay, ask Natalie. Has she ever been in the backseat of a cop car? Well, maybe don't ask her that. Just ask her.
No, I'll ask her. She'll tell
me. So I loved Andy's whole thing. And then, so we can go back to Andy and Dawson singing the blues in a little bit because then it cuts back to
the party.
And
fucking Abby's there. Who invited her? Nobody likes her.
And
why is she
little
there?
Minions. She's there. And so, but then Abby kind of has a good point in her ridiculousness about how she says everyone's bisexual anyway, but it's her way of kind of saying like,
I think what she means is what I say all the time. Yeah. That most people's sexuality is gray.
Yeah. And that's what she's
and that's pretty much what she's saying.
And she's saying it's Puritan culture that makes everyone hide it.
Facts.
And I was like, okay, Abby.
It's true.
Unfortunately, she was doing all that to get Jack to kiss her so that she could be like, see.
He's not gay now. And then he's like, anymore. I'm gayer than ever.
Yeah, exactly.
That was great.
But I mean, all the things she was saying, I was like, I know. Yeah, that's true, actually. And that's why even Jack kind of like,
he was like, wait, maybe.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Or whatever. Yeah. So then, okay, back to Dawson and Andy singing the blues.
Adventures and babysitting.
That's what it reminded me
of.
Yes.
And I wonder if they did that on purpose.
Maybe they did.
Because, he's like a big movie guy. So maybe they threw that in on purpose.
That's probably why. But why did he sing 2 verses? So he sings.
It just kept fucking going.
And then Andy sings.
I know. And that they should have just cut it.
And then he's back. And I was like,
back.
Oh
and
my
you're like,
God.
Oh, okay. It should have been done.
Stop singing the blues, Dawson. And then he admits in the middle of that he knows about his surprise party.
Right.
Which,
and Pacey was like, well, surprises are hard. Look, guys, Katie's birthday is coming up soon. And I was going to throw her a surprise party. And I think I fucking stressed her husband out so bad. Because I was like, Katie's schedule is insane. Mm-hmm. So planning a surprise party for her, I knew would be really hard. And I was like, I can't not have input from somebody in her family that is an adult.
Yes.
Which would be Brant.
Yes. So one person.
So I had messaged him. I was like, hey, I want to throw a surprise party for Katie at my house, but I don't know what y'all have planned. I don't know about her. And he messaged me back and he's like, oh my God. Like, I just know I instantly stressed him out. And I was like, okay, never mind. I'll just tell her.
Like, just have her over. It'll be fine.
I'm just going to tell her we're having a party, which actually I think is better anyway. Cause then I could invite everybody Katie wanted to invite.
And I don't know all the details of the party. Like,
I mean, you pretty much do.
Purple. And it'll be fun. It'll be a good time. But yeah, So
surprise parties are hard to plan is my point.
They really are. And
they're
without the
really
people
difficult.
Knowing, recently I went to a surprise party for our friend Jen.
I missed it.
And Jen with a G. And she was surprised.
He did a great job. Way to go, Tom St. Marie.
Oh,
sorry. Just put your government out there.
I was like, Jen with a G. You're like, St. Marie.
We do that all the time.
But he had said, and I thought this was so funny. This is such a husband thing to say and do. He's like, she has no idea because she's just pissed at me.
Oh, yeah.
She thinks I blew it for her birthday. And so,
which is great for him.
Because
I bet he got accolades.
Yeah.
Accolades.
Yes, exactly. But he was like, she doesn't suspect it because she's just so pissed. That like.
She was too. I remember. And on the inside, I was like, oh my God, I want to tell her so bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. Don't be upset. Don't be upset.
It's coming, Jen. It's coming.
Don't worry. He really didn't fuck up. I promise.
He really didn't. But she was surprised.
Do you like surprises?
I don't know.
I'm
indifferent.
Okay. I like surprises, but not like that. Like if you had a surprise party for me and I couldn't like make sure I was like dressed up and cute and stuff for the night, I would not like that.
Yeah, but see, there's ways around that.
I know. He did a good job because she was dressed all cute because her girlfriends took her out before. But like, I also like, I have a friend whose partner will surprise him with a trip and be like, I packed you a bag. Let's go. No. I wouldn't mind if somebody said, hey, we're going on a trip from this date to this date, and here's the weather and occasions you need to pack for, but I'm not telling you where we're going. Like I like surprises, but I need a little bit of info.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to feel unprepared. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you're having a party for me, I want to look cute.
Yeah.
And I might want to wear a costume. So
exactly.
Or a wig or something like that.
Like you won't get the most out of it if you can't do planning on your end. I get that. I mean, even for my regular birthday party, I was like, what am I supposed to wear?
Oh, yeah. And I'm like, just wear purple. You're fine. Purple. Because what I told people to wear, I made Katie fill out this form of all her favorite things. Number one, because I knew people would be like, I want to bring her something, blah, blah, blah. And then it's just nice. But I told people they have to dress up like one of her favorite things. And
I can't wait for this.
And I said, you can be as creative as you want. It's going to be fantastic.
It's going to be great. I can't wait to see what you wear.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, we'll find out.
I have a few options anyway.
Okay. But I did say the scene where they're singing the blues and that whole bar scene. I said that must have been a fun scene to record.
Oh, yeah.
I bet that was a blast.
So much fun.
And then, so Andy and Dawson, when Pacey's not sitting there, he's in the bathroom or something, they convince the waitress to give them rum and Coke.
So 90s.
So somehow Pacey doesn't realize they're drinking rum and Coke.
He would smell that.
The end, but he's like, oh my God, you guys have been drinking. And then Andy kind of scolds the waitress for serving them.
She's right, though.
She's right. She's like, oh, you could get shut down.
100%.
She does. And so Pacey's trying to like just get them out of there.
Yeah.
And back to the house. And meanwhile, Jen and Ty.
Okay. Ew, they're in Dawson's new car.
They're in Dawson's new car, which apparently they ended up taking back. So that's even. Ooh. And then Ty does this whole blaming her for making him feel sexual about her.
That is the church right there.
That, yeah. And she says that. And he says that.
I know.
At the end, he's like, well, that's just, I'm fighting this. But like, it still makes
her feel like crap. But he's not fighting it. Yeah. He's not
still saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like he basically like stops whatever.
And then like, I mean, on one hand, like at the end of the episode, when he comes back and they're having this whole conversation, he's like, we can't see each other and blah, blah, blah. On one hand though, like that's what he believes and that's what he stands for.
True.
So like, as I don't like it, but he's being honest.
Yeah.
And she doesn't agree. So he's kind of right. Like they don't need to be seeing each other anymore.
No, I mean, I agree too.
And I don't understand why she's fighting so hard for it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
But again, it's Jen, and I feel for her.
And I love this line from Abby. She's talking about Joey and Dawson, and she says if they didn't spend so much time contemplating their navels.
Yeah, for real.
I love that. I was like, that's such a good line.
Contemplating their navels.
And then when Dawson's back and he goes off on everyone basically, and then Joey pushes him into his cake because he's being annoying and she's mad. So then Joey goes to take him upstairs after he's berated his mom, his dad, Joey, Pacey, Jen, everybody in the whole room. She says, do you know anything about the blues, Joey? And she's like, more than I care to admit.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good line.
But also, let's talk about their drunkenness. Like, they're acting silly and stuff, but they were not slurring their words. Like, he was very articulate.
He was. Maybe you should get a job, Dad.
If he had that many drinks, he would be like, you're stupid. I don't like you.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
But they did puke in this one.
Okay, they did. But did you notice? And the reason I notice all this is because I did way too much underage drinking. And not like that's bad. I'm not saying that's a good thing.
You're not bragging.
No. But like after he drank that much and he was that sick, puking multiple times, him and Andy were again having a conversation like they're sober.
Right.
Just because you throw up does not mean your body is done.
Right. I agree.
And then he's like laying in the bed talking to Joey, like totally sober again.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah. I hate it too. Yeah. So they were puking, but you're right. They were still too cognizant and with it for that to actually be true.
Right.
Thankfully Pacey drove, so that was good. I did like when Mitch and Gail came together at the end and they decided, okay, we're going to take the car back. Let's get him in a used car and let's have him pay for some of it. Like, I thought that was a good compromise. Good. Yeah. When Joey says, because she catches Abby and Jack kissing, she says, I always thought if you went straight again,
I know
it would be Cindy Crawford.
What? That's so dumb.
Everything is wrong with that sentence because attraction has nothing to do with what a person looks like. Also, neither does like sexual preference and go straight again. Anyway, I was like, wow. But then Joey does say, no one wants to feel alone. Everyone wants to feel normal, which she was relating to herself.
Well, when you're a teenager, everybody wants to feel
teenagehood encapsulated.
It is.
And then, all the stuff with Ty and Jen, which we talked to. Ty says, this has nothing to do with you. This is me. And I'm like, yeah,
true.
You know? And then Jen kind of like shuts the door on him. And then when Dawson approaches Joey, kind of like me at that restaurant when I had my baby. And he was like, I want things to be how they were and we should try again. And she says, I just need to like work on myself. And I was like, in this instance, yes, you do. Because you can't just run back to that. So those were...
That's it. I know. A lot. I have to pee so bad too.
I do too. Okay. Well, thanks for being here for our double episode.
Woo, we did it.
And we'll see you next time here on Generation in Between.
Bye guys.